Hello everyone, this is Hearthstone at Hype. I am Ecor100 with my friend Venga Dragon. How's it going, Venga?
Oh man, I am hyped up and ready to rock and roll, talk about what is going on. I know that you got some things on your mind after playing for hours and hours and hours, man. I can't wait to hear what it is.
Dude, I played so long yesterday. It was, I think, the second longest stream I've ever had. But yeah, the first thing the thing I wanted to talk about was the way too early nerf predictions of things that I think are either overpowered or have the potential to be overpowered in the coming months. So I'm just gonna jump right into it, and basically the order is just the alphabetical order of the classes. So I'm going to start with, there's nothing really in Demon Hunter. We're going to start off with Druid, and it is just Celestial Alignment. It's the 7 mana card. Set each player to 0 mana crystals. Set the cost of cards in your hand and deck to 1, or all hands and deck to 1. And I'm not entirely sure how this card would be nerfed. I just think it needs to be nerfed for the specific reason that it's way too powerful in Druid, because Druid's able to cheat out mana better than any other class with Innervate, Lightning Bloom, Nourish. They can ramp back up with, say, Wild Growth or Overgrowth, and they can just get to their big win conditions way faster than any other class can with this card. The only card I'd say could maybe keep up is Rogue, but all of their cards are already cheap to begin with, so once they play Celestial Alignment, they're basically just gonna win. So I think they should be nerfed in the same way Guardian Animals was, and make it 8 mana to slow it down, but again, this is way too early. There might be counters to this deck. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I've really never thought of it in the sense of being nerfed. I wasn't so sure. I almost thought it, for the most part, it was a bad card, but then I did play it and play tested it, and that changed everything.
Basically the same exact thing for me.
I was like, this card is like, I was like,
this card's actually really broken.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, and then you realize, wait, if I keep like the something Overgrowth in my hand, and I change that to 1 mana, that means that I can be well ahead of my opponent on the next turn, right? So like, it's just it's pretty crazy. So the thing is, and it's almost like the amplification of the mana is even more, because it goes back down to 1. You know what I'm saying? It's like, plus it also, it takes away the ability for your opponent to have corruption as well, because all their cards are now 1. So if they're running like a corrupt deck, they don't have the chance really to, right?
I don't have a problem with that one that much though, because it's like a counter to a mechanic. I'm not that upset that they counter corrupt, actually. I think that was pretty cool, because they actually kind of counter themselves, because it counters their own clown. They can't corrupt their clown anymore, which is kind of cool. I just think that there should be something, make it more expensive, or not allow the mana crystals to go above what it's at. Like, they shouldn't be able to Innervate or Lightning Bloom on the very first turn and get out like Guardian Animals into another big thing, into Survival of the Fittest, by Lightning Blooming right after the Celestial Alignment. Like, that's 30 mana value for 3 mana on that turn.
Yeah, it's the ultimate mana cheat, really. I mean, the way that I could see this card being nerfed is to just set each player's to 0 mana crystals, set the cost of cards in all hands and decks to 1, except spells. Maybe that would be the way that it could be done.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, this is way too early. We'll see what ends up being the problem with this card. But moving on to the next class, which I know you were interested to talk about, which is Mage. And the first card I would nerf is the Reckless Apprentice, the 4 mana 3/5 that says Battle Cry, fire your hero power at all enemies. And I would just like to say that I was really excited for this card coming out. I was really excited for just the whole hero power Mage archetype. But there is a problem with this card, in my opinion, and it's the fact that the stats are so good. A 4 mana 3/5 that does minimum 1 damage to everything, usually 2, because Wildfire, the card that increases your hero power by 1, or the damage of your hero power by 1, is 2 mana. So a lot of the time you're going to Reckless Apprentice and deal 2 damage to everything. It'll almost entirely set up your win condition by doing almost 10 damage with your hero power with 1 card to set up the new Mordresh legendary card, the 10 mana 10/10 that does damage to everything. And I think that the best nerf for this card would to make it a 4 mana like 3/3. Make it inefficient to play stat wise, so you really have to play it for the Battle Cry. And it might not seem like a big thing because you're still going to get the really overpowered Battle Cry, but it can't have like one of the best Battle Cries in the game and then also be an efficient minion stat wise. Like a 4 mana 3/5 is not bad. And then when you pair that with, in my opinion, one of the best Battle Cries at least to come out of this expansion, it's just way too strong. So 4 mana 3/3 or like a 4 mana 2/4 or something like that. Just lower the stats by about 2 in total. I don't care where you take it from, like attack or health. It doesn't really matter. Just lower the stats by like 2, and I think it would be okay.
Yeah. Well, I totally agree with you on the idea that this card is pretty powerful and should be looked at. Like, remember, these are our super early nerfs, right?
These are early nerfs, and the meta's still settling down. So maybe there are a couple of other OP decks and cards that people haven't experimented with. So this is all just early. So before you like dislike or anything in the comments or whatever, this is just all early stuff.
I think that the problem with this card is the amount of damage it can do for 4 mana. Like you said, so I don't know if changing it to its stat line really makes that much of a difference, because you don't really play it for the body. You play it more for the amount it can do on the board. So,
but I feel like if you nerf the ability, it would be too bad. I mean, I guess you could nerf it to 5 mana also to slow it down and make it a little bit more clunky.
Like
something.
It's like a little less versatile. But the other way maybe is just limit the amount of enemies it can do, is the random enemies instead of all. The word all is just really crazy. But I guess that's just because of the way that the archetype is structured, that it's at the end, the closing is all as well. But yeah, I think this card is broken. Remember I saw it, I just said, oh no, this is how you get to deal 10 damage with your hero power right here.
You do it like with that card alone. So making it 5 mana could also be good. If you make it 5 mana, don't change the stats, because again, it may not seem like a lot to change the stats, but making it a 4 mana 3/3, let's just say you play it on a board that isn't super stacked. You're playing into a more control matchup instead of like a mid-range or aggro matchup, and this doesn't hit a lot of minions. It just makes it a kind of bad card in those situations, and makes it go from a decent tempo play where you're like, fine, I'll still play it, to a 4 mana 3/3 that pings the opponent for like 2 damage and maybe one other card, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but at least worse.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, the thing is though, is we can move on after this, and if you have anything else to say, but I just wanted to say that if you're not getting the value, the hero power that you have is doing 2 or 3 damage anyway, so you might as well just bang the person to the minion that's on board, and just hold back on it, and then redo it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not unplayable at 4 mana.
No, it's not unplayable at 4 mana at all.
So I think it supports what you said, that just dropping and pushing up the cost, though, I think would be the right way to go with this one.
And then the next one is the card that goes with Reckless Apprentice, and it's Wildfire. Increase the damage of your hero power by 1 mana. Or by 1 damage, sorry, not 1 mana. I'd say that a good nerf for this would just make it like 3 mana, so that way it's just a little bit harder to play, because the ability is really, really powerful. Like, think about it. If you use this, you're able to ping basically anything for 2 mana instead of 1, and it combos really well with one of Mage's most broken cards, if not their most broken card in the deck, minus their win condition legendary, right? Other than Mordresh, I think the Reckless Apprentice is like a top 3 card in that Mage deck, and it's because Wildfire is able to pump up the hero power. So if you make it 3 mana, and maybe if you nerf Wildfire, it makes Reckless Apprentice a little bit harder, and it might not need a nerf. I don't know, but one of these 2 cards should be nerfed, because together, at the costs that they're at, it's just too fast, it's too consistent, and it's also just a lot of damage. Like, even just late game, you basically have a Hunter hero power to hit the opponent's face, worst case scenario, and it could end up going to 3 damage if you get both Wildfires. And if you get both Wildfires and you go turn 2 Wildfire, turn 3 Wildfire, into turn 4 Reckless Apprentice, it's doing 3 damage to everything, and that is almost a guaranteed completion of Mordresh. I think these 2 cards are just problematic together.
Yeah, they are. And the thing is if you look at say just as a whole, 2 mana for Wildfire, right? So it increases the damage on it by 1, and it doesn't seem like a lot when you're like you first look at a card.
But it adds up. It adds up for sure.
And then all of a sudden it's like Reckless Apprentice. Once I saw this card and I did the full set review, I said, oh no. I was just like, oh my. I'm like, wow, really? And so it kind of is like, it just adds up, because every single time that you play against Mage, and this is one of those, it's not every single time, but you know what I mean? It feels like every time you play him, you're being hit by 3 damage. It's
by 3 damage hero powers, and they have it all the time. Like, I've only played 1 day. I played for like 7 hours after, the bug was fixed, or you couldn't have golden cards or whatever.
Right.
And every Mage would could play Wildfire on 2, maybe another one, and be at least doing 2 damage every hero power. And I was like, I don't know what to do.
Right, and they could even play it. They could even the spell reduces all the spells by 1, and technically they could be on turn 4 already at 3 damage. Because right, because they're just weird. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but the math is off. But you understand what I'm saying? It's just a very problem. The combination of the two is just way too strong, and it just kind of, it's just too easily exploited. And you remember the quest that was in for, like, with the plot twist quest and stuff with
the one where you drew cards and it made cards free? That one?
Like Warlock or whatever. Yeah, like, but plot twist was there and you could like draw cards and stuff, and you're like, how is opponent going to be able to draw 20 cards or whatever to complete the quest? It seemed like impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. And the next thing you know, they're completing it turn 5 or 6 if they have plot twist in their hand.
Yeah,
and the 2 cards combined was just like, wow, okay, so if they get plot twist, they just get to draw cards for free for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so when you read the card, you're like, whatever, not, right? But then also you start playing against it and battle testing it, and you're like, whoa, this is broken, and that's one of the things that Hearthstone, they do a good job, but they sometimes don't. And this one, I think this is definitely a nerf candidate. I think you're right. So I don't know.
Okay.
How though.
Yeah.
Next one.
We've been talking about Mage for a while. So, we're moving on to another class, and it is Paladin, another class that has been pretty dominant this expansion. So far, obviously, it's only been like 1 or 2 days, or 3 by the time we end up putting this out. But it's Sword of the Fallen. It's a 2-mana, 1/3 weapon. This is after your hero attacks, cast a secret from your deck. I think this card should be 3 mana. Or, if it stays 2 mana, it should have like 2 durability instead of 3. I think at its current state, being able to get 3 secrets from your deck, because essentially pulling the secret from your deck is like drawing a card. I like to equate it to that. And the value of drawing a card, if you put it to Arcane Intellect standards, which is, 3 mana draw 2, it's a pretty I think it's the basis that people use to like measure value of mana, right? So about drawing a card is about a 1.5 mana value, and that's why like Novice Engineer is an okay card, because it's a 2 mana 1/1 and its stats are really bad, but it has the 1.5 mana value of drawing a card. If you think about it that way, Sword of the Fallen is 1.5 times 3, and then you also get to attack 3 times with it, and it's all for 2 mana. Obviously, since it's specifically secrets, there'd be other calculations, but even if you just make each secret 1 mana to automatically pull it from your deck, it's still 3 mana value plus the weapon, and I think making it 3 mana or have 1 less durability would be perfectly fine, because this is run in every single Secret Paladin deck, and it's just really, really strong. I don't know, I just have, this card is just way too powerful in my opinion, and it makes Secret Paladin really consistent.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that when there's a lot to be said about thinning one's deck. When you're thinning the deck, let's say that the secret was right before the card that you needed,
your win condition, right?
Yeah, or something like that.
Like the Cannon Master, whatever his name is.
Yeah, so it gets you closer to getting the card that you need. So by thinning the deck, there's a lot to be said about that. Thinning decks is was really great strategy in Hearthstone. I mean, the first week or so I was playing, I'm like, well, what would happen if I just made a deck with 10 cards? I was like, because I could get to my favorite card right away, right? Like this card that I want to play. So there's a reason why there's 30 cards in there, but deck thinning is really, really super powerful and somewhat, like, I think underrated to some degree if you don't really think about it. But with like Cannon Master Smythe, basically it's a mana cheat, right? It gets it there. You're just smoothing out that curve, and it's pretty difficult. The other card that comes to mind is also Underlight. Which one is it? It's Underlight Angling Rod, which is a card that is a 3 mana 3/2, which after your hero attacks, add a random Murloc to your hand, right?
Yeah, I like that card though.
Yeah,
because it doesn't thin out your deck, and the stats are a 3 mana 3/2, which isn't great.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that this weapon should have the same basic thing.
There you go.
Or if you want to make it like a 2 mana and lower the durability, make it a 2 mana 2/2, right? So that way, because the power comes from the durability and its ability, but if you give it one more attack, you can still do a little bit more damage, maybe trade in a little bit more, and it'll just change how this card works a little bit. And I think that's the biggest thing that needs to change. Not like, and it goes in an aggressive deck. So if you make it a 2-mana 2/2 weapon, you're actually getting one more damage if you end up going face, which will still help the deck. It just makes it less consistent and less able to get out a ton of secrets, which is really the big problem in my opinion.
Yeah. The funny part is like, as much as like this could even be weird, it's just a thought. I mean, it would almost be better that it's not a cast a secret from your deck, but cast a copy of your secret that you could, because of the deck thing is so important, you know what I mean? It's like,
that's true. That actually
crazy.
Would be an interesting, like, people would think that it's not a nerf right off the bat.
Yeah.
But it actually would be, I mean, it would also be a buff because you'd get an extra copy of your secret, but like it wouldn't thin out your deck, and in a game-changing like turn to draw a secret because it wasn't taken out would actually be kind of bad. But I also feel like it could somehow be abused. People would find a way to get a ton of value.
Right. I'm just saying.
But that was an interesting idea, though, because like the deck thinning is probably one of the biggest issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next card is another Paladin card, and it's Conviction. The 1 mana, give a random friendly minion +3 attack, and it upgrades, and it can give 3 random friendly minions 3 attack at its maximum. Usually, you'll play it for its rank 2, where it gives 2 random friendly minions +3 attack. And if you think about it, if you're about mid-range, and let's just say the turn before you played the Cannon Master, right? So you got some extra 3/3s on the board because he made your secrets 3/3, for those of you who don't know. He's a 5 mana 4/4, makes your secrets turn into 3/3s, death rattle, they become secrets again. If you have him on the board, right, then this is at 1 mana for 6 damage. Like, I played Secret Paladin for a little bit yesterday. I had 2 Convictions in my hand at level 5, or at 5 mana, or Conviction rank 2, and I had just played Cannon Master, and then I did 12 extra damage of burst that turn and killed him because I had both Convictions. And I think that when I look at the rank cards, there is a vast difference in power level. Like, when I look at it, I think Hunters is terrible, Druids is bad, Warlocks is abysmal, Warriors is pretty bad, but then you have other ones like this one, which is insane value, Wicked Stab for Rogue, which can upgrade to be 2 mana, deal 6 damage, which is just better Eviscerate, or at 5 mana, deal 4 damage, which is just, again, better Eviscerate. Priest is a 2 mana, deal 2 or 3 damage to all enemy minions when it's rank 2 or 3, which is pretty good. And when you just look at the power levels of some of these rank cards, I really think that its ranks 1 should be bad. So I think that this card should be give a friendly minion +2 attack. So I think like the rank 1 should be bad. You should be punished to some extent for playing the card early, because the whole point is you want it to get more powerful. And then have rank 2 be pretty good, right? Rank 2 would be 1 mana, give 2 friendly minions +2 attack, and then rank 3 would be 3 minions +2 attack, because in its current state, and there are a couple of other rank cards that I would like to see nerfed, it's just way too much damage way too quickly. Like, I thought Nitro Boost was a problem, giving 2 things +2 attack. This is giving 2 things +3 attack, and I don't know, I think it's just a problem in my opinion. I think I could see this being really strong in a aggressive dude or just aggro Paladin deck in general.
Yeah, well, the cool thing is I do like the idea of what they're trying to do with the rank cards. I believe that
I like the idea.
Yeah, the concept is good behind it, because it gives you this chance to have a card that's always playable. But to your point, you make a good one, is this card is always playable though, really, and it should, at many times it's great to play on turn 2 or 3, right? You understand what I'm saying?
You just accelerate yourself and do 3 extra damage. And if you're playing against something that doesn't have removal,
right,
or you play it on one of your Divine Shield minions, it's very likely 2 attacks for 3 damage immediately.
Yeah, like the card, like there is a card that's already in the meta that does the give a random friendly minion plus. It gives, you can actually select which minion you want, and I think that's it's a Paladin card. It used to be in there, and there's a one. It did extra damage, right? So it's pretty crazy. I mean, that card was not really that playable, but because of the versatility, this card is like a must include in every deck, right? So it's just way too strong on turn 1. I agree with you that it,
or for 1 mana, not turn 1.
Yeah. Well, you could. Never mind.
I mean, I guess if you play something and point it out.
Let's go. You play on a 0 mana card right now. Let's not even go there. But I meant turn 2. It's at 1 mana, and it's just way too strong. So I agree with you completely.
And then the last class that I want to talk about, really, which is a problem, is Rogue. And I'm not going to talk about Secret Passage or Penflinger even, because those cards are just really, really strong in Rogue, and Foxy Fraud and Swindle and all those cards have been a problem for a while. I'm going to talk about specifically the new cards, and I really hope something in Rogue gets nerfed. And the first one is the Efficient Octobot. It's a 2-mana 1/4 Frenzy. Reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. That's just freaking ridiculous. I read this card and I'm like, well, Rogue just got even better than it already was. This card actually pissed me off when I saw it. There is no way that a 2-cost card with the Frenzy ability this good should be a 1/4.
Yeah.
With the Mech Tribe, which makes it better in, like, Wild that sometimes has, like, Mech Rogue. I think there was a Mech Rogue. There are some good Mech Rogue cards. So that's just, it makes it even a little bit better in Wild. I don't know if it's played in Wild, but anyway, in Standard, it should be a 1/3 for 2 mana, so that way it's easy to kill. Because, like, I can get out a 3 attack thing, or deal 3 damage to something turn 2, right? That's what a lot of, like, 3/2 minions are for, and there are some 3 damage removals, right? Like, the new Warlock one with Lifesteal. There are things that could potentially deal with this, but at 4 health, it's going to trigger its Frenzy almost every single time, and Rogue is already a class that can cheat out a ton of value. Yeah. Like, I played Miracle Rogue yesterday. I went 5-0 real quick without even thinking, because I got this in 4 of my 5 games, and I was just able to play, because this card was not only a decent value 2-mana 1/4, but it's going to reduce the cost of about 5 cards in your hand. That's basically cheating out 5 mana, on top of the fact that it's a 2-mana 1/4, which is decent, with a tribe. Like, that's broken.
It is.
That's actually just so stupid.
It is absolutely crazy. Like, I remember the first time that I was watching it, and I saw it come out. I'm like, oh, what, like, yeah, because you can't remember all the cards. And then I see the little flash.
I thought that it was like reduce a card by 1, not your entire hand.
Yeah, and I go and I hover over, and I said, every card in the opponent's hand is now 1 less. I was like, wait a second.
I was like, what?
Right? And it's just like, it kind of reminds me of like when the priest gets that rally going, and when they're just reducing all the the spells in their hand and stuff, right? And
like if this said reduce all spells or all minions or like specified it in some way, it would be still strong but better. Like, sure, reduce all spells so that way you can combo off with Penflinger, but don't also make Penflinger 0 at least the first cast, or like any of the other minions 0 for the first cast. I mean, I just think that this card's need to meet.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry. This card upsets me.
Yeah, that's all right, man. I mean, you could do something even crazy with it too. You can also really set up a lot of tempo with it as well by dropping it on the board and then backstabbing it yourself, even if you wanted to do something crazy like that. I did
that as well.
Yeah,
backstabbed it immediately so I could play even more cards.
Yeah, you could.
I basically backstabbed it, coined out Foxy Fraud, swindled into like Shadow Step. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so you're just swirling. You're swirling the board. You're doing a lot of things that Rogue already could do, and now you're just doing them better.
And now you're just making it better.
Yeah.
Hey. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're moving on. I'm moving on from this.
Tell everybody how you really feel, right?
This card's getting me too upset. The last card that I want to talk about is just Wicked Stab. It's the 2-mana, deal 2 damage, upgrade when you have 5 mana and 10 mana, and then it becomes deal 4 and deal 6. I was really excited when I saw Eviscerate was leaving the meta. I was like, that's a good amount of burst damage from Rogue leaving the meta. And then they just came out with a literal just better Eviscerate in most situations. Most of the time, if you're trying to finish off the opponent, you're doing it around turn 5 or 6 with Rogue. It's upgraded to 4 damage, and you're going to be able to finish him off. I think this card should be deal 2 damage, upgrade deal 3 damage, upgrade deal 4 damage. Yes, that's a big nerf, but Demon Hunter already has that. It's Fury. It has give your hero 2 attack, then 3 attack, then 4 attack. And I think being able to just deal direct damage to anything, but keep the same stat line for 1 more mana is fine. Like with Fury, the whole thing is the Demon Hunter. It's a double-edged sword, right? A lot of the time, if you hit a minion, will take damage to hit them, or if there's a taunt in front of you, this damage won't go through. So to have Wicked Stab be 1 mana more, potentially do 2 damage more in its fully upgraded state, or at least 1 more damage in its mid-range state, which is when you'll probably play it, but also be able to get around taunt and just go right to the face, or just kill a minion automatically and not take damage, is way too strong.
Well,
And having just and I think it would be better than Sinister Strike because people will be like, oh, Sinister Strike is 1 mana for 3 damage. The difference is you can still target a minion with Wicked Stab and potentially kill something off on the board. So it's still a better Sinister Strike. So Wicked Stab will just be, it'll still be good. It just won't be broken. Like, I don't know. I made it to turn 10 one time with Rogue. Somehow the person managed to survive. And then for 4 mana, I just did 12 damage off of a Secret Passage because I played Secret Passage, got both Wicked Stabs, and I was like, bam, bam, and they were dead. They only had 10 life, so I went overboard a little bit, but still, that was too much damage too quickly.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I play this card on turn 10, it's 0 mana.
Oh, yeah, because you have the stupid Octobot reducing it, or you prep it out.
Yeah,
or keep it the same damage, but like increase its mana cost by 1 or something to match it, so it's like a little bit harder to play. I don't know. Rogue is stupid. I hate Rogue. I wanted to get nerfed so bad, and it just I think it got some of the best support from this expansion, and it was already, in my opinion, the strongest class in the game, and they just made it even stronger. I mean, other stuff got strong too, right? Other stuff like Mage is actually ridiculously strong right now.
Yeah,
and Druid is, but
I gotta tell you though, I could go on and on and on. We're getting down to the end here, guys, but I just wanted to say, Mage though, the deck seems a little bit just one of those ones that it's just autopilot though, and it's just like all you do is just play the cards in order. I could get a lot of flack for this one, but it just seems like when you play against it, it's just too much damage, and it has everything. Mage was Mage is my rogue. Is your rogue is my mage. My mage is your rogue. That's how I feel. I'm just like, all right, guys. So
oh wait, there was the common cards. There's one other thing I wanted to go over. It was just really, really, really quick.
Oh, sorry.
And it was just the watch posts, just in general. I like the watch posts. I think that they're really interesting card design. I think having them on the board is like, I don't think there's been anything like them before in Hearthstone. So I really like that they were creative and made these watch posts and had a legendary win condition that summons a minion for every watch post. But all I think that should happen for these is just lower the attack of each one by 1, because I think that its power comes from the fact that they have a lot of health for their mana cost, like a 3 mana 5 health, 2 mana 4 health, 4 mana 6 health. The power comes from the fact that their health and they have a good ability while they're on the board. They shouldn't also be ridiculously hard to trade into. Like a 2 mana 2/4, if I have to trade a minion into that, it's dying if it's in the first 1, 2, or 3 turns. But if it was a 2 mana 1/4, it would still have the really strong ability. I'd have to use minions to trade into it still. I just wouldn't also lose the minions. Like this, basically, these cards shut down aggro so hard.
Yeah. Well, that was.
And I mean, aggro was really strong last expansion, and it did need to be toned back. But like, I tried playing Face Hunter, and they dropped the Morshan watch post or the Far watch post, and I was like, well, I have to now trade in 2 minions to kill these things, and they come out so far ahead that like, what was even the point? I just have to concede.
Yeah. Well. I have, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I seem to run into the most craziest archetypes. I don't know if you got into this one, but playing against it. I was playing a priest who had the Far Watch Post, and at one point had the Far Watch Post was on the board, which is can't attack after your opponent draws a card. Its cost was 1 more up to 10, right? I was playing I was playing Warlock, and my opponent had 5 of them on the board.
Yeah, they made copies or something.
Yeah, they started copying the. So I'm just sitting there, and I can't clear them because they keep healing them. All my spells, everything, all my removal.
Everything costs like 8 mana.
Yeah, and I can't have the hero power. I can't do anything. So I'm trying to clear them. I have no. I was literally just like, really.
I'm writing that down. Watch post, Far watch post. Priest.
Yeah.
And written down. Time to ruin some people's day.
Yeah, it is absolutely awesomely bad. But yeah, man, yeah. I was just like, we're gonna talk about those more in the next segment. And yeah, Ecor, man, you know the unbelievable thing, guys. Just wanted to say about Ecor. Have you seen 4, 5, 6 videos going up a day? This guy's doing like 30 videos a week. I don't even know there's enough decks in the Hearthstone for Ecor to
oh no, there are. And then as soon as I'm done with all of these like 30 main meta decks I want to try, I'm gonna do it all again, but budget, and try to do them all with 1 or 2 legendaries at most. It's oh my god, I am.
Yeah. Well, we'll be back in the next segment. Come on over to Mega Dragon's channel, and don't forget to hit
link in the description for those of you who don't know. And there should be one of the things at the end screen. You know, the video should be popping up right about now.
Yeah. Hit that like. Let's go.